I got a call from my son the other day. It's a good time when he calls, probably because it doesn't happen so very often. But it's always a good thing when he calls. He's an artist. He lives in New York City. He's got a beautiful wife, 3 kids that I'll spoil the heck out of every time I get the chance to see him. When he was young, I used to set my son on my knee, and I said, "Son, you can be anything you want to be. You can be anything you want to be if you set your mind to it." When I was a kid, I didn't always get that message.
Oh, I was loved and cared for. But as far as my future went, I feel I was given limits rather than dreams. When I was a kid, the sky didn't seem like the limit. Maybe education was, or the limits of poverty. Maybe I didn't see people like me as senators, lawyers, poets, and teachers. When I was a kid, it seemed there was a fence around my imagination, a boundary. I could go this far, but I don't dream this far. But when my son was young, the winds of change were blowing. The old limits were fading away. Walls were coming down. Dreams were more than illusions. They were becoming realities. When my son was young, the stories I made up for him, the tales I told were no longer faraway fantasies, but points on the map of human existence, something to achieve, not just to dream. He drew, he created, crudely at first, just faint representations of reality, a tree, a cloud, a bicycle, a flower, even me. But as he grew and matured and dreamt bigger dreams, the drawings became more and more creative and amazing. And around us, the world became more and more amazing. We were seeing people just like us gaining more and more of a voice, and an amazing voice at that. Yes, I grew up learning about Crispus Attucks from the American Revolution, abolitionist Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Booker T. Washington, millionaire Madam Walker, poets W.E.B. Du Bois and Langston Hughes, composer Scott Joplin, singer Marian Anderson, Louis Armstrong, athlete Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, Rosa Parks, Ella Fitzgerald, Miles Davis, and of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They were legendary names, bigger than life personalities of people who made a name for themselves against all odds. Against all odds. But when my son was growing up, an explosion took place, a tipping point, another revolution of sorts. Now, the limits were being breached by all sorts of people in a rainbow of places. Now I could point to people who looked like me, people of power and influence, people of the arts, education, finance, scholarship, and science. Man, my heart leapt at the new world opened to my son. He could remove the constraints that had formerly held back a nation of people who too had big dreams. Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, director Spike Lee, poet Maya Angelou, Colin Powell, Jesse Jackson, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, astronauts Dr. Bernard Harris and Mae Jemison, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, Venus and Serena Williams, Shirley Chisholm, Stevie Wonder, Condoleezza Rice, Michael Jordan, multimillionaire Oprah Winfrey, and today, even the President of the United States. America, the original melting pot of all nations, was allowing that rich broth of talent and energy, of faith and knowledge to explode. As the limits of my son's aspirations were expanded, so did his talent expand, and hunger for meaning and search for truth and God. What was once the rarefied air of the chosen few was now the verdant fields of every man. Artists from all corners of the country were sharing ideas, inspiring each other, and dreaming dreams. But not just dreams of money, fame, and power, but of peace and equality and love. This, I believe, is the dream of our God for us, not to be held back by fear, by prejudice, by power structures and pain, but to allow the very creator of the universe to live in us, for us to get a vision for eternity, for that people of God to lead the way into a better world. Dr. King spoke of it when I was a child, and we see it at work today. A dream deeply rooted in the American dream, where children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. A dream where little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. And as this happens, we allow freedom and unity and peace and acceptance and love to reign. As the walls of mistrust and fear continue to fall down, every child born into this great nation will be able to live out the American dream as children of the one true God, that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. For God declares for all people, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. You who hope in the Lord will soar on wings like eagles, will run and not grow weary, will walk and not be faint. This is why I celebrate this month. This is why I release the frustrations and pains of the past. This is why I told my son that with God, all things are possible.
And this one thing I ask of the Lord, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. And this is why when I get a call from my son, the artist in New York City, we laugh, we cry, we remember, and we dream. And this thing we know, that with God, all dreams are possible. What's your dream? Let's dream together.